This could be the best Nintendo dads ever.
It could be, but probably not.
No. I mean, we're talking a lot of Pokemans.
A lot of Pokemans.
That's a lot of Pokemans.
And there's another direct coming next week before.
Right, I'm probably just going to show you that you can change your clothes in the freaking game and all this other crap.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right, so
unless Pokemon are walking around behind me on the screen, I don't care.
So one of my predictions was they would not show new evolutions during E3.
Yeah.
If they show on the 5th, does that count? Because it's not yet E3.
No, it doesn't. And you're right. We're going to get an evolution reveal next week. I'm really sure of that. Like,
I'm going to say this now, just before we start. The only thing I want from Pokemon is for it to not be so linear.
That'd be great.
Because the last couple have been so linear, it's painful.
All right, we're ready to go.
All right.
Oh, I'm not in the right place here at all.
Oh, yeah.
Ready?
Cool. Yeah, bring us in, bud.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 232, recorded on May 30th, 2019. And on tonight's episode, we're discussing a whole lot of Pokemans. So, Jesse, you know what to do.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marty here from Nintendo Dads, and you're listening to episode 232 of the podcast. I'm joined tonight by Mr. Jesse Waldack and Gary Gray, straight from across the pond, or on your side of the pond, depending on which part of the world you listen to us from. I myself am coming to you live from an undisclosed location. For those of you who are watching video, you know this is not where I normally am. That's because
white brick
I got to move offices today. My life is in boxes and shambles around me. That's okay. You guys are important, not boxes and stuff. Jesse, how the heck are you, brother?
Pretty good. Our carpet's still a little wet from last week, but we haven't gotten any worse. And Tuesday, we had a big tornado scare. Like, there was a tornado on the ground for like an hour and a half that passed by about 10 miles away from my house. We're talking like 3/4 of a mile wide twister. It was crazy. I haven't been that worried about a storm in a long time.
Man, that was that the one that you were describing when you said your son just came downstairs and played Switch?
Yes.
And didn't watch the radar or anything?
Yeah, I wanted to turn the TV on and watch the news, and he comes down because he hears sirens and just plops down and plays Smash. I'm like, no, we're watching the news.
There's a handheld mode for that, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of handheld mode, joining us also is Gary Gray. I don't know.
I don't
know.
Many
it's
things
late. It's been a really long day. How are you, friend?
You know, we were getting into Megadad's territory there.
Kinda. Yeah.
You know, but I can't wait for this reboot of The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy's like, I'll just go and play some Smash.
Yeah. I'm not worried about the tornado or the Lollipop Guild or whatever.
I forget what the conversation was, but it was, I think my daughter said something. She says that we're going to, or we're not in, and my wife says Kansas, and I say Oz at the same time. No, it was regarding a hot air balloon. And she says Kansas, and I said Oz. And I'm like, I think by definition, they are exact opposite locations.
Kansas. We're in Kansas.
Because
you were not in Kansas tonight. You were right here with episode 232, and we've got a ton of stuff to discuss. Pokemon press conference this week with 4 huge announcements. A brand new update to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that adds a brand new feature and all kinds of other Nintendo goodness that we missed last week due to our E3 predictions. So, guys, let's just jump in headfirst to the news. And as always, please understand. Why are we please understanding?
I just felt like hitting that one.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe it's because of the news we missed last week. Of course, our news is always brought to us by our great, awesome, amazing, wonderful, fantastic, good.
All of the adjectives.
They smell really good. Our patrons over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can jump into our Discord. And hey, guys, by the way, let me throw this in here that right now our brand new monthly Mayhem contest has launched, and it is the wonderful, time-wasting game Downwell, which is a... If you think you've played a game like it, probably not. It is it's a vertical shooter that it progresses downward instead of upward. And you shoot with your gun boots.
And I got my point, and that's probably all I'm going to give. You get a point for saying that, for showing that you're actually playing the game.
Yeah, that's right.
So I got the 1-3 and I get stuck.
Monthly Mayhem is our brand new interactive contest that we do over on our Discord with our patrons over there. And you can join in and you get money for doing this. If you win the Downwell contest, you get $15 in eShop credit. If you are selected in the raffle from the rest of the people who don't win the $15, you're up for $10 of eShop credit. And then we have our random $25 draw each month from our patrons as well. So all you have to do is be a $1 patron to get in on it. So go over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and sign up and join us. Right now, Downwell is $1.50 in the Nintendo eShop because of the Devolver Digital sale going on right now. All of their titles are on sale, including the newly released Gato Roboto, which we'll talk about later on in the show. But guys, let's talk some Pokemon. Pokemon Company held a press conference this week in Japan. It was held Tuesday evening, I believe, for us, was what it would have been. Is that correct?
I think so. I don't remember. I don't think it was last night.
No, it wasn't last night. So, yeah, it was definitely Tuesday. And a lot of us were following along on Twitter to look at these updates. Now, also promised, along with this press conference, is a brand new Nintendo Direct, which will focus completely on Pokemon Sword and Shield, that will come out next week on July 5th. Has a time for that been announced yet?
6 a.m. Pacific.
Wow.
Well,
really?
I'm pretty sure that this is going to be worldwide direct, so Japan's will be 6 p.m.-ish.
The last time. Pokemon Direct was at that time as well, when they revealed Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
it was worldwide.
Normally Pokemon Directs are worldwide simultaneous, just to prevent the leaks.
So there you go, 6 a.m. Pacific time. That would be 8 a.m. Central time, 9 a.m. Eastern. And so be ready for that next Wednesday. And, of course, we'll cover it on the show next week. But let's talk about these announcements from the Pokemon press conference. The press conference was more hyped than usual. They asked people to tune in and live stream and watch as these announcements were unveiled. And 4 huge announcements that we're going to break down for you right here. Pokemon Home was announced, as well as a new-ish Detective Pikachu game for the Nintendo Switch, a new device called the Pokemon Go Plus, which is probably the stupidest name I've ever heard since the new Nintendo 3DS XL with Knuckles and whatever else you want to sprinkle on there. And also Pokemon Go Plus will also work with a new service called Pokemon Sleep, and Pokemon Masters will be coming to mobile devices developed by DNA, and it's a mobile game focusing on famous Pokemon trainers throughout Pokemon Legacy. So, like all your favorite trainers from the anime, and they'll all be in there. Brock, that one girl,
Misty,
that one guy that's not Ash. Yeah, they'll all be in there. I promise.
I'm sure red and blue and.
Oh yeah. I think they totally have already shown some art for those.
Yeah, I think they did show blue.
I think it was part of the splash screen that they showed for that. So let's talk about these. The first announcement was Detective Pikachu for Nintendo Switch, and probably wouldn't you say this was probably one of the more anticlimactic announcements of
Yeah,
the
it was
entire direct?
it was kind of like an in passing thing, like almost like he wasn't really supposed to say it, but it just came out, and it isn't really clear if this is like an enhanced remake that'll actually finish the story, or if it will be a separate game that will finish the story. We don't know yet.
Yeah. All I could think about was way to cash in on that movie right
Yeah,
now.
they
right?
did make a comparison of the box office of Detective Pikachu to that of Godzilla, which is big in Japan,
Wow.
literally
Okay.
and figuratively.
Now, from what I was able to gather and looking at this, I did not get to watch the live stream, but I was following along on Twitter because I was busy during that time.
Yeah,
They did
the live
claim.
stream actually surprised me. I expected it to be just all in Japanese, and we wouldn't get translations until the next day. But it was simulcast with immediate English and Chinese translations, and then after about 5 minutes of hearing the same sentence 3 times in each language, they cut into this real time translation. So at that point we only heard the English, which was great.
That's cool. That's a good way to do that. I mean, you got those 3 huge audiences there that you know are going to tune in. From what I understand about the Detective Pikachu game that I saw people talking about afterwards is this is the 3DS game with a new ending. And the reason for that is not going to spoil anything or spoil any plot points here by saying this, that and Jesse, you can confirm this because you finished the game, correct?
No, I didn't.
You didn't finish Detective Pikachu?
I only got like 3 or 4 hours in.
Okay, so Detective Pikachu ends on a cliffhanger ending. And you don't really ever, like, it doesn't feel wrapped up, at least according to what I saw from a lot of people. The claim is here that this will be Detective Pikachu, the game as we know it, with a brand new ending. And I would assume maybe graphical upgrades.
I hope so.
Because the 3DS game is not going to look good on the Switch.
It's 240p, so they better.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to look good on your TV
textures.
if you're playing it that way. So, for people who are listening that maybe have not played Detective Pikachu, can you kind of describe what type of game it is?
I'm trying to remember because it's been a few years, but
yeah, it's more like a simple puzzle game where you'll know the answers pretty fast, I think.
Yeah, I think I described it like Dora the Explorer, the game, in its level of pandering to children it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it put me off.
Now, okay. I played it and I quite enjoy kids' games. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody who pays attention to our YouTube probably knows that I review a lot of the kids' games.
Yeah, if I had a 4-year-old, it'd probably be different. But at the time, my youngest was 15. That's a small difference.
And as an adult playing it can get very, very daunting fast because it's so simple. But it's one of those things where you can know the answer to a riddle sometimes, but you have to play it out in game first, and it takes so long to do that.
You have to do it their way. Is what you're saying.
It is a fun little game. It's just that would be my caution about it.
I was listening to IGN's podcast this earlier today. They're talking a little bit about it, and like the Japanese version of the game isn't even in kanji. It's in what kids learn first.
Oh, okay.
I forget the term, but yeah. So it's obviously made for kids.
So obviously, again, if people don't know about the game or haven't been following it, it's. Would it be safe to call it an introductory Pokemon title? Like this is get the kids interested in Pokemon.
I'm not sure about that. It's more of
because they don't get into battling at all.
No.
But your world building, you're introducing them to the world of Pokemon.
It's a good start to the world of Pokemon. Realistically, it's more like an introduction to Broken Sword. It's the point-and-click adventure that's not a point-and-click adventure.
Oh, sure,
It's very light detective work.
It's an interactive storybook.
Yeah, essentially. It's such a good game for kids. It really is. Like it's thought inducing. It's clever.
So I have a 12-year-old who is begging me for this game after seeing Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, is he now? This is my son, so we're working with some issues here. So he's probably on about a 10-year-old mentality level.
Yeah,
Is
I
it gonna
think
be? Is it gonna be like way under his? Like, is he gonna look at me like I'm bored? Because this game is still $35.
I'd say it's a coin flip.
yeah.
He might attach on it and love it, and he might have the same opinion as me.
Gotcha.
Hard to tell.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's a really tough one to recommend to people without knowing them well, I think, because there is a certain amount of patience involved. But at the same time, it's a really good job of logging everything that you've seen or done in games. So there's like a list of who you've talked to and what they've said and all that sort of stuff. So it really does depend on who it is. If you're someone who gets invested into story and more of the lore of the story, then I think it's a good game to recommend.
I think what we'll probably do is wait until we get some more firm specifics on the Switch release and see if it's something he wants to spend his money on then. I mean, it would have to be that.
Yeah,
like,
if the Switch release is just the 3DS game plus some, then you wouldn't want to get the 3DS version.
right, yeah. And I mean, he barely touches his 3DS as it is right now. I mean, it's just like when the Switch is charging. So he's going for the 3DS. I don't know. He was really the Mario Maker 2 hype in our house is really real. Like it's rabid. And so I have my Wii U hooked up here at my office, and he's always begging lately to come up. Can I come play Mario Maker? Can I come play Mario Maker? He wants to build levels, and so he started playing it again on his 3DS. So like I actually see him carrying his 3DS places more now than his Switch because of Mario Maker. And we'll talk about Mario Maker 2 later on in the show. The second announcement that was made during this Pokemon press conference is that Pokemon Home, a new cloud service for Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android, would be launching in early 2020. Basically, Pokemon Home is an evolution of Pokemon Bank that will be available to players that will allow them to combine Pokemon storage from Pokemon Bank for 3DS games, Pokemon Go for mobile, and all 4 Pokemon games for the Switch. Can we just go ahead and say that that's pretty huge?
That is epic.
I mean,
we thought Bank was huge, and Bank is now just a quarter of this.
Yeah. So I am my
understanding is you can put stuff into Home from any source, but you can only pull out of Home into Sword and Shield.
Okay. So let me ask you this. As a Pokemon noob, like, because I am, like, I'm very extremely casual Pokemon player. What is Pokemon Bank?
Pokemon Bank was a service that they had set up where they had a DS client, so you can get Pokemon from your Gen 5 games and then migrate them into your Gen 6 and 7 games into the 3DS. And just lost Gary again.
He'll be back.
Anyway, yeah. So it was just a way to do a local trade from game to game by yourself.
So legitimately, what that means is that Sword and Shield could have any Pokemon.
Yes. Yeah. The game will have to support all 850-ish Pokemon that are out there, plus whatever.
Plus whatever that region exists. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what number Meltan was, but they're in the 800s.
That's pretty awesome. And like you said, I mean, being able to, like, you're going to combine 1, 2, I mean, how many 3DS games did Pokemon Bank support? Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Sun and Moon, X and Y.
Alpha, Omega.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was like 8
So
games.
this is something like close to 20 games that can port into Pokemon Home. Right. And you'll be able to... So explain a little bit more here. They can only go into Sword and Shield. So you won't be able to pull these Pokemon into Pokemon Go.
Right.
You won't be able to pull them back into a 3DS game.
Yeah, but you won't be able to pull it back into other older games. Mainly to help prevent you from saying, Mill Metal is number 809, so Grass Starter will be 810.
Yeah,
So you can't take 810 and try to put it into Sun, because that's not going to work.
sure. Well, what about Mel Metal? Can you put it? Can you put him in Sun?
No, because Mel Metal wasn't part of Sun.
Gotcha,
Its introduction was in Go.
gotcha.
So
So
I can
when
take
you
one.
when you
I
put a
can
Pokemon
I
when
can
you
take
put
a
a
Mill
Pokemon
Metal.
into home or bank right now, they can't go backwards, but they can go forwards.
Right. Once this gets set up, I'll be able to take a Mill Metal from Go, put it into home, then put it into my Shield game, and have a Mill Metal with me.
That's cool. And the reason, guys, if you're listening and you're like, I get this, I know this, I'm a Pokemon fan, like, understand that we do end up having a lot of non-Pokemon fans who listen to this. That when we talk about Pokemon, they ain't got no clue what we're talking about, y'all. you know, we get talking about Lileeps and Slackoths and Wobble Puffets and all kinds of other stuff, and they've got no clue, right? And so that's why I'm getting Jesse to explain a lot of this, because you got a Pokemon master sitting in front of you right here in Uncle Jesse. So I guess you're excited about Pokemon Home.
Well, I myself not as much, just because I never cared to move them from game to game. My son will be, because
Right.
I don't even know if he still has access to his bank, because he had a lot of his old Pokemon in bank, because collecting all these shinies.
Now, bank was a service you had to pay for.
Right. They didn't say that home is paid, but they didn't say home is free either.
Yeah, I was about to say they didn't say that it was free.
Right. I would expect it to be a paid service.
Oh,
But
absolutely, yeah.
I would also expect it to be cheap. I
Oh,
think what bank was like, what, $5 a year.
yeah. So I mean, we got Nintendo Online for 20 a year. You're not going to be paying, $20 a month to store your Pokemon in home. I promise.
Right. And then another advantage of what they're going to add in with home is a mobile app. So, like, if you have a Pokemon at home and I have a Pokemon at home, we can do a trade within the home environment, out of any other game, and then migrate them into our Sword and Shield.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And see, that is a natural evolution of what Pokemon has been heading toward all this time. And that's fantastic. I love that. The third announcement that was mentioned here was Pokemon Sleep. And if you've wondered where Nintendo's quality of life products have gone, they've just been taken over by the Pokemon Company. Pokemon Sleep is a way to pair with Pokemon Go. And what it does is the press release said, or actually the press conference said, it aims to turn sleeping into entertainment by having a player's time spent sleeping and the time they wake up affect gameplay. So what the Pokemon Go Plus Plus will do, and how this figures in, is it tracks the sleep of the player. It can also be used as a Pokemon Go Plus and Pokemon Go. And then there's other information about what it will do that will be available at a later date. They've planned to release this to mobile devices sometime in 2020. They didn't really give a window or anything like that. I am kind of on the fence about this.
Yeah, I'm curious, just because I do pay attention to my sleep, because
Right.
I've been on a CPAP for about a year and a half, and so my Fitbit tracks my quality of sleep and lets me know, you've had 15% of REM, you've been awake for 10% of the night, and my CPAP itself gives me stats about how long I've been on it. Am I getting air leakage? Which and obviously the more air leak I have, the worse night I'll have, because I'm not getting the air I need. So I've already got stuff that tracks sleep for me. So having another device do it isn't all that different to me, and so I'm kind of curious about how this will all work. So I'll probably check this out when it comes out. I know other people. One person on Twitter said, "Yeah, I suck at Pokemon, but I can sleep." So with the best of them, my reply was, "I can't. I need help sleeping." So
Yeah. Absolutely. I love watching along and seeing people, comment during this. And I pulled up the Twitter feed of our own Zach Erickson. He had plenty to say about the Pokemon press conference. I'll just read some of these tweets.
Oh, the last piece of news, he was all for.
Yeah. In 2020, you'll be able to sleep with your Pokemon. Wait. Here's another one.
Getting into Megadance territory again.
I think you meant new Pokemon Go Plus Plus XL. Then he retweets the Pokemon Snap logo where someone has erased the S, so it says Pokemon Nap. They missed an opportunity there.
I did see that.
But now he did say this, and this is why I brought the Twitter feed up, because I kind of agree with him here. He says, my concern about Pokemon Sleep is that you'll just be training people to grab their phones as soon as they wake up. This is already a big enough problem for a lot of people. Instead of, oh, hello, real world, good morning, it will just be straight into your screen. Blah.
Yeah, another problem I think will arise from it is people go on their phone before bed, which is a known problem. I mean, we all know about the whole blue light thing and it keeping you awake and messing with your mind. And it's... Yeah, I do not like the idea of Pokemon Sleep in the slightest. I think that sleep time and, you need a distance away from games at some point, and especially for sleep. And I think that, I don't know, I just don't like the idea of it. Also, I want to know if this plus works when there's two of you in a bed and a toddler that decides to dive in at 1 a.m.
That was my concern is, the way it says the plus checks uses gyro controls to feel motions in the bed to know how you're doing. But, if my wife gets up to go to the bathroom, it's going to dock me because she's moving the bed. Like, not much they can do about that.
Well, that's why you've got to get one of those beds, you can like lay down on an egg and it doesn't break.
Yeah, I see.
Like, who came up with that test? Like, they're going to make a bed you can lay down on an egg and it won't break.
I said something
about that'd be a great idea.
I said something about that on Twitter, and I got a reply was ditch the spouse, Pokemon for life.
And thinking about this, guys, think about this. We're talking about this from a dad perspective, or from an adult perspective. Let's shift gears and let's think about it as a dad perspective for a little bit. Do we want another app that encourages our kids to take their devices to bed with them? Well,
it could be a learning thing because you don't necessarily have to have the phone in bed. You just have the plus plus. The plus plus will have dim lights, and that's about it. It probably will have noise. You could probably mute the noises.
Well, I agree with that, but
and then you can
if you're like most people,
then you can pair it with your phone in the morning.
Right. But if you're like most people, where's your phone charger? It's right next to your bed, right? I mean, I use my phone charger. I use my phone as my alarm clock. I use my phone as music before bed. I have the inductive charger that's right there that charges my Apple Watch and my phone at the same time just by laying them down. I'm not going to leave my phone on the bar, in the kitchen and be like, hey, okay, I'll see you in the morning. I say that because I asked that question. This is why, because this is a battle we're fighting at home right now. Me and my kids, is that we made the mistake of allowing them to take their, iPads upstairs because they had saved music on there and they would listen to that to go to sleep, which, it's really funny to be sitting in your living room and the Undertale soundtrack is coming down the stairs because that's what my son is listening to and his door's open. That's all he listens to is Undertale. But, we started to push on that a little bit and say, we don't want you to have that upstairs. You're going to find another way to do it. And my teenage daughter, man, she is or I say teenage, she's not even teenage. She's 11 or going to be 11. And that drama is hitting really hard right now. Everything is a huge deal. Everything's dramatic. And this was you would have thought we were killing her, taking her iPad away.
Right.
But, I mean, she we talked about it and she understands it now and she understands why we're doing it. But, I think it's just this is something else that's driving, never be disconnected from anything. And Gary's right. I mean, we do need a little bit of disconnection every now and then. And I say that as a technology buff, like as somebody who loves video games and loves technology. And I am the one that's in bed at night with my phone or with my iPad, like reading and all that stuff. And Apple has done some good work there in trying to, night shift and all that stuff to make it better. But it's still, it's a prevalent thing. And I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just judging it before it's before we see it, and we just need to give it some time to shake out. But I do hate the name Pokemon Go Plus Plus. Can we agree on that?
That's horrible.
What? Whoever named that, really?
Yeah. I think my tweet.
Like that's what I want to say. I just say, really? It's really the best you could come up with.
My tweet about it says, "Are you sure you don't want to throw the word new in there a few times?"
Yeah, or with Knuckles. I mean, like, there's so much they could have done. They could have done Pokemon Plus Master Edition for a Master Ball. They could have done Ultra Ball. They could have done Pokemon Plus Ultra. They could have done Pokemon Go Plus Sleep.
Now we're talking about My Hero Academia Plus Ultra.
I don't even know what you're talking about there.
If you like superhero shows, check it out. It's a good anime.
I'm gonna have to do that. I've heard too much about it that I do need to watch it. So this is coming out in 2020, which means an update to Pokemon Go in 2020 and the device coming out at the same time. No price point, no real release window. It's just 2020. It's coming.
I'm not 100% sure it'll actually incorporate with Go, but Sleep being its own separate thing, it might also have a thing with Go. That was kind of...
Well, I mean, it can be used as a Pokemon Go Plus, so it's going to come in some way. There's going to have to be an update for it to function.
Oh, yeah, for that. But I was thinking about it in terms of the turning.
And you're totally right. Like I was missing the app part of it and all that. So the last big announcement, I guess, was Pokemon Masters, which is the DNA developed mobile game. Again, this is going to feature many famous Pokemon trainers from the entire history of Pokemon games. And there will be more information available about it in June, which conveniently is next week when the Direct happens. So I think that means we'll probably get a little bit more about it either there or at E3.
I'm thinking about E3 because I think they're going to focus the Direct on Sword and Shield and nothing
else. I'll be real honest with you. I don't want them to waste time on this during the Direct. I'm sorry. I don't. At E3, I would rather not hear about a Pokemon mobile game that I'm never going to play. This is Nintendo's ever-present E3 dinosaur in the sky moment.
Yeah.
And I just don't get why they do this. Like every year they come out and they're swinging and they're swinging and they're hitting and they're hitting and they'll be like, hey guys, let's spend 50 minutes listening to a floating dinosaur in the sky tell you about what it's like to live on his back. No. No, nobody cares.
Mecha Dragon says Pokemon has weaponized the waifu and husbandos.
Yeah, basically that's what is happening. More information again coming in June. The last announcement that was made, Zach was also very excited about, and that is, I guess it's just called Pokemon shirts. Shirts featuring the first 151 Pokemon will be made available to buy in Japan for some time. And they have been available in Japan for some time, and now they will be available in other regions. However, that does not mean you will be able to get one for cheap. He mentioned on his Twitter feed that a single shirt for him was going to run over $130.
Is that? I'm presuming that's Canadian dollars, so it's probably more like $100 here.
Sure. Yeah, but that's still a lot for a shirt.
That is a lot for a shirt. I don't like spending more than $20 if I can help it.
Yeah, me either. I'm just looking on here. Like if I want a men's, then you can get a men's casual shirt, a men's dress shirt, or a men's Hawaiian shirt. Let me see what a dress shirt. Obviously, they're not in my size, so nothing ever is. I'm just going the big.
These are designed for Japanese people. So yeah,
come on,
they're not in our size.
There's sumo wrestlers over there. I mean, Surely they would want to wear.
They are the
Pokemon
outliers,
shirt.
I'm sure.
Yes, just a shirt. The base shirt is $100,
Oy.
like starting with the base. And it gave me a shirt with Pidgey on it. Why would anybody want a shirt? I've never met anybody who's like, you know what, my favorite Pokemon is Pidgey.
Oh, but it's such a good design for a shirt.
I'm sure there's a few of these shirts that don't go at all. But the Eevee, the Pikachu.
Can you imagine the guy
the Charizard, they'll go crazy.
To an interview and he low-key has a Garbodor right here. Like the garbage Pokemon.
Oh.
Ugh.
These are only Gen 1 at this time.
I know. That's a dumb design. Just saying.
Winner wants a Rattata shirt.
Really?
Probably not.
And I said that came out really wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. I don't know. Anyway, there's going to be some guy out there who's like, yeah, my favorite Pokemon is Sandshrew. I don't know, Kabutops.
No, I can see people being Mr. Mime fans after that movie.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there's going to be. Just full disclosure, I would wear a Psyduck shirt.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like Psyduck.
Psyduck has fans.
So that's all the Pokemon news that you can handle. And then some. You know what, Jesse? Let's just do this right here. Since we're already talking about Pokemon, let's talk about, because it's all that's in our events. Let's talk about Pokemon Go for just a minute.
Sure. So
I was waiting for music.
Oh, you want me to do the music? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wrong music.
You know what? Gary said before we recorded, this could be the greatest show that has ever happened, and it's okay. June Community Day is featuring Slackoff, and this starts on Saturday, June 8th it is Saturday, June 8th from 3 to 6 p.m. local time. More details will come out closer to the event. There's also something coming up called Adventure Week, which begins June 4th at 1 p.m. Through June 11th at 1 p.m. Both of those are Pacific time. Rock-type Pokemon will be available more frequently and will appear in 2 kilometer. Why don't you just miles? Come on. Miles are better. Rock-type Pokemon will be in raids. Onyx, Lileep, and Anorith may be shiny, and you can get 4x Buddy Candy and Pokestops that you never accessed before. We'll give you 10x XP, which is nice. In other words, get out there and walk, fat people. Trainers using Adventure Sync who get 50 kilometers of walking distance in will earn 50,000 Stardust and 15 rare candies.
Stardust is the high demand item if you're playing high end.
Get out there and play Pokemon Go that week, Adventure Week, June 4th through the 11th. That's this coming Tuesday through the following Tuesday. So, and then that weekend, slack off on Saturday, 3 to 6 local time. Now we'll dive back into the news without any further ado. Huge update came out today for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 3.1.0 that out of nowhere added VR to Smash. I wish that I had had the opportunity to try this out before we went on air tonight, but I did watch. There is a trailer right now on YouTube that is available if you want to go over there and watch that. The basic gist of this is that you will be able to play timed battles against local matches against local opponents or CPU, and you will be able to view them through the Toy-Con VR goggles, which will give you the ability to look around the maps while the battle is going on and see them in kind of a 3D view or whatever. There was also a lot of character nerfs and buffs that came out during this, and there's too many to go through. MyNintendoNews.com has all of the details on that. But basically, if you want a rundown of it, they made Pichu basically unusable, and they made Joker even more powerful. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. Also, online features that were added right now is FPs, fighter personas. I don't know what fighter people. Your amiibos can now be used in battle arenas. They can be sent out on journeys, and they can bring back some winnings and spoils and different things like that. And it basically the rest of it is stability and all that fun stuff. Guys, I'm gonna be honest here when I talk about this that just from the trailer, the VR mode looks awesome.
Yeah, but would you want to play like this?
Yeah, not really. But the ability to look around in real time and see some of the details on those maps that you weren't able to see before and different things like that, like the Pokemon Tower stage where you get on the platform and it rises up to the top. It was shown you can look down, and see down to the bottom. The Spirit Track stage, you could see off into the distance and see where the tracks were leading and where you were coming from. See things coming down the tracks like the bomb train and other things.
For those listening to the audio version, playing it like this was with your hands up to your face because you not only have to control it with the Joy-Con, but you have to hold it to your face because there's no straps.
Yeah. Here at this point, I think Nintendo, if they're going to continue to add VR options to their most popular games, it's time to release the face strap.
Yeah.
Like it's an add-on kit that they have engineered to attach to the already pre-built Toy-Con that adds the face strap. It's got to happen.
I hope so.
I can't think of anything more vomit-inducing than the VR upgrade for Smash because of levels like the Spirit Track one. I can imagine it being a little heavy for VR. But I like that this Toy-Con VR stuff is getting updated into games and it's actually being taken seriously.
There's a third-party game coming out soon for VR that's getting Switch support with Labo. I forget.
Yeah, I also saw that Unity have included the option now as well for developers to add Toy-Con VR as a mode onto games. So we're going to see
Doom Eternal's going to have it.
Spice and Wolf VR is what the game I was thinking of.
Here's the thing though. Like, I think Gary, the way you said it is exactly right. Like they continue to add value with this. And if you notice, I mean, besides Breath of the Wild, which may have been the first thing that they came up with, right? When they were trying to add these upgrades, Mario and Smash, if you'll notice, both of these have been timed, right? Like the Mario levels are very limited. It's like go find the musical instruments and boom, you're done. Smash is like here's a timed, fight. In other words, it's not meant to be taken in large doses.
Which is why I'm surprised they did Breath of the Wild. Here's the entire game in VR. Like, really?
Yeah.
And that's apparently
that's why I said it may have been the first thing they developed, right? And then after that, they were like, "Whoa, we can't do a whole game. Like we gotta back off on this a little bit because of the performance."
The thing is with Breath of the Wild's VR is, even though it's a lot more immersive than the other games, it doesn't feel that intense. And I don't know if it's just because the graphics are so low on it when you're playing in the VR. But I mean, I suffer from motion sickness when I use VR sometimes. I went to an event a gaming event last year, and I went on a VR roller coaster and had to sit down for a couple of hours afterwards because I felt awful. I haven't really been that bad with Zelda, and I saw other outlets on about how it makes you feel really sick after a while, but I haven't been that bad from it. But I can't wait to see if Smash does some damage because, that, like I say, some of those levels are very fast and the action is very fast. So I could see it. I don't know. I find it a weird one to add the VR to, if I'm being completely honest.
And it's not active on every stage. Let's throw that out there too. It's only active on select stages. Yeah. And they showed. I mean, it was more than I thought. Of course, like Big Battlefield is on the list. The Odyssey level, Spirit Tracks, Onet Town, the F-Zero track where you're fighting on top of all the cars, Luigi's Mansion, the Pokemon level we already previous mentioned. I really hope the Mega Man stage is just cause, but probably not. And the Castlevania stage, that would be cool too. But I've got to go home and try this tonight. Like I'm really interested in it.
I still have to put my kit together.
I really love that they're using they're driving people to Labo with their main software.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's smart. And I think that the buzz for the VR Labo has been better than anything that they've done. And I think this is exactly what they needed to do. This is the sweet spot for Labo. It's working together with the rest of Nintendo's repertoire, So it'll be interesting to see what's added next. Guys, honestly, it's a matter of time for Mario Kart. Seriously, unless they're saving that for Mario Kart 9.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be the real test, I think.
There is a VR arcade out there. So
right.
There is some work that probably can be migrated over.
Yeah. Also, speaking of updates, Mario Tennis Aces will also be updated to 3.1.0 tomorrow. No, it does not add VR tennis. What it does add out of nowhere, though, is character rebalancing and a brand new character, Fire Piranha Plant. And Dry Bowser has also been announced to be coming to Mario Tennis Aces as well. And if you're counting, that's 15 more updates or so than Super Mario Party has gotten. And Super Mario Party is a top 5 all-time selling game for the Switch. Mario Tennis Aces, not even the top 10, I don't think.
It's strange, isn't it? It's so strange because I know that Mario Party was more of a complete game when it launched, but I'm quite surprised by the support for Mario Tennis Aces, considering that I think ARMS had less now.
Yeah.
Than what Mario Tennis Aces has got, but yet the argument with Mario Tennis Aces was so divided, and it kind of makes me wonder how many people are still actually playing it.
I don't know. Maybe they know something we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Well, they've got numbers, so they know how many people are playing it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because ARMS didn't have legs.
Oh.
Yeah, that was bad.
I've got plenty of tennis points. If you guys are ready, sit down and some of these.
Hey, right? We do dad jokes. If you're still playing Mario Tennis Aces, let us know. Right? Let us know on Twitter. Let us know on Facebook. Let us know. And tell us why. Why are you still playing Mario Tennis Aces? We're not judging you. It's just we want to know. Are you out there? Are you still playing? If so, why? And what keeps you coming back to the game? Because it seems like for some others, people, it's really fallen off, right? Or it was never there in the beginning. Also, just wanted to throw this in here real quick. This is kind of a, I guess, breaking news type thing. The former Disney Interactive Vice President John Vannucci has joined Nintendo of America.
I did see that.
He is now a part of Nintendo, and here was his quote: "I plan to help continue the tradition of building memories through Nintendo that will last a lifetime. I certainly have a lifetime of them already, and can't wait to make more. I'm humbled by this dream opportunity, and will work tirelessly to bring you the best I can." It says here that Vannucci will be driving developer and publisher relations for North America. So if I'm not mistaken, is he basically doing Damon Baker's old job?
Yeah, it sounds like it, yeah.
Probably.
Not so much on the indie side, but just on the publisher side? Totally?
I'm not sure what he's doing yet.
Yeah, if he's developer and publisher relations, that sounds an awful lot like what Damon was doing.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll know more at E3.
Yeah, maybe we'll see a puppet of him fighting puppet whoever. I don't know. One other update announcement that I did want to mention, because this has been a pretty popular game on Switch, third-party wise, and that is Mortal Kombat 11. DLC characters will be revealed today as you're listening to this. So keep an eye out. That list has maybe already leaked online, but again, don't believe it till you see it, right? I mean, we're supposed to be sitting here waiting for Erdrick to drop for Smash, and we don't even know who the second one is. So, it's out there. Just look for the update today. A couple little more news nuggets here before we move on. DC Universe Online. This was an announcement that came out last week, and we missed it due to our E3 predictions. DC Universe Online is coming to Nintendo Switch this summer. It's a free-to-start MMO by Daybreak Games. This is the same company that continues to run EverQuest. And you can also buy a gold subscription for added benefits such as access to expansions, additional character slots, more inventory space, and a golden utility belt. No, that's not true. That's not true. Also, the ability to have parents named Martha. Sorry, I had to go there. I hate DC movies. I'm probably going to get crap about that, but I don't care. Anyway, any memberships and premium currency on the PC version do not migrate over to console versions. So keep that in mind. If you're playing, you'll be starting basically fresh over on the Switch, which is a bummer. But hey, this is good.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying this when it came out on the Switch, just because I do have a lifetime subscription on the PC. And when I've read that it doesn't migrate over, I'm like, oh, then maybe not. I think I'll still try it to see if it's better than the last MMO I tried.
This is the first MMO on the Switch. Is that correct?
No, there was a Korean one that I think that was out earlier this year, and it was just horrible.
Okay, so is it the first one that's come stateside?
Well,
did the Korean one come stateside as well?
Yeah, it was a North American release.
Okay.
But it was trying to do everything the PC version did, and when I went into a public area, it just tanked.
Oh yeah.
I was getting seconds per frame, and not people popping in and out because everyone couldn't render at the same time. But when I went into a private instance of an area, then things ran smoother. Surprise.
Gotcha.
I forget what it was, but it was a game that's been on a PC for a while. But yeah, I heard that people are saying that they think that DC Universe Online for Switch might have its own separate servers, so you wouldn't necessarily have that problem playing with PC versions. I think this is already on PS4, so it might share servers with PS4, but it sounds like there is a separation between PCs.
Okay. In some pretty big news, Nintendo is going to delist Animal Crossing Pocket Camp and Fire Emblem Heroes in Belgium due to loot box law fears. In other words, they don't want to be sued for blatantly selling loot boxes in Fire Emblem Heroes and Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, because that's what it is. Sorry, it's hard to call it anything else. You can play these games until August 27th, and then existing Leaf tickets or orbs on accounts can still be used while the game is playable. However, it does sound like they've already removed the ability to buy Leaf tickets and orbs, which severely limits the game for some people. Future games with similar earnings models, including Mario Kart Tour, which is currently in beta, will not be
Pokemon Masters.
Yeah, and probably Pokemon Masters. You're exactly right. Will not be released in Belgium, which sucks for people who live in Belgium.
And I think this is only a matter of time before we start seeing these laws elsewhere as well, by the way.
Yeah.
We've spoken about this on the show before, but essentially it is a big form of gambling, and it is getting people into gambling early. Regardless of which way you look at it, it's basically the truth. So I can see these laws coming into effect elsewhere, and if they do, it's really going to change the landscape of mobile gaming. But I mean, for me,
Don't
this is
you
the
think that
reason.
would be changing it for the better?
I think it would. For me, I don't play these games because of the loot box things. I love Fire Emblem, but I can't play Heroes because unless you're going to start pumping money into it, then you're only going to get so far so fast.
Yeah, that was one game I played several years ago that I put a lot of money in, and I just got sick of it. I avoid them, and my son, even when he first told me about, well, I think it was Counter-Strike Global Offense, that they have loot boxes in there. I'm like, no, you don't want to fall in that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if what like the fallout of that, it won't just be loot boxes, right? It'll be trickle down energy, right? You gotta like pay. You can pay $5.99 to refill your energy. I hope that goes away too,
Yeah, that's
because it will
slightly
force
different
people to
because
make better games.
yeah, that's slightly different because that's not a gamble. You know what you're getting, so you're
Right.
paying for something that's guaranteed. I think those things won't go away, and if anything, those are the sort of things that will be the future of mobile gaming.
They'll just
If loot
increase.
boxes go. Yeah, what they'll do is they'll just make the games really hard to the point where you'll have to keep buying top-ups.
Now we're back to the 1980s arcade games.
Exactly.
Yep. What goes around, nothing new under the sun. But it really sucks for people there who are anticipating Mario Kart Tour and other things coming down the pike. But for the most part, I do find that I can live without mobile games.
Yeah, there's the start of even legislation in the United States about it, but the way that the current legislation is being written, it's like overshooting, so it affects pretty much any in-app purchase, not just
overshooting in American politics.
Right, big shocker. So even Mario Run's approach would be not legal. Okay, that's overkill. You're going too far.
Yeah,
reel that in.
Not good. A couple of other things this week. Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, out of nowhere was announced this week for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I heard this was coming on other systems, but today it was announced that it is coming on Switch.
Yeah. There has been a version of this game previously on Nintendo system. It was on the Wii, but if you remember, it used very cartoony characters, and the graphics were really toned down compared to the PS3 and Xbox 360 at the time. This game's coming out this year, and will probably be one of those full retail price games that you're just kind of like, what? Speaking of full retail price, if you buy a Nintendo voucher, you can use that to buy Ghostbusters the video game later on this year.
You can?
But why would you? I don't know. Maybe you can.
Oh.
Who knows?
I wasn't expecting it because I don't think this is Nintendo published.
Well, I mean, you never know. They'll probably have to publish it just like they do everything else to get it on the Switch. Anyway, we asked on our Twitter this week whether you would, or last week, that's right, last week, because, again, E3, we asked if you would buy or are planning to buy Nintendo vouchers. Surprisingly, 71% of the 163 people who voted said absolutely not. That they will not purchase Nintendo vouchers, compared to the 29% who said yes. Does that shock you guys at all, or is that to be expected?
It was a little shocking to me. I expected it still to be more no's than yeses because I think so many people are still physical or bust. So they wouldn't care about the vouchers, but still that's almost 3 out of 4 almost. That's more than I thought for us to say no.
Yeah, I don't think it really surprises me. I think there's a lot of people who like physical copies anyway, and even though they offer a saving compared to buying physically, it's not really that much. I spoke about this, I think it was last week, no, the week before, when we talked about the vouchers when they got revealed. If you're buying physical in the UK, you're still getting the games cheaper than buying those vouchers. So I'm not really surprised.
I think it's funny that everyone complains about the quote Switch tax, and then Nintendo gives you an option to save money, and everybody's like, "Oh man, that sucks."
Yeah, and they don't do it. I think the thing is, you have to essentially buy 2 games. You're promising 2 games.
It's a lot. It's a lot for like the sticker shock. I think is part of the thing. Like, if it was pay, you pay the price of the first game now, and then you're locked into paying. You can get this game down the road for 20% off, right? And you could with the promise of using it later.
Yeah.
Like if it went in like your coins, like if there was an option to, okay, I'm going to use my 20% off now. That I think that might make it a little more palatable to some people, because $100, like I've thought about buying it because I've said like I'm going to get Mario Maker 2 and I'm going to get Ultimate Alliance, right? So that would be a perfect way for me to use the Nintendo voucher, but I just can't drop $100 right now. I can't do it. And that may be where a lot of those 71% are.
As I say, that's my problem with it as well. I live by month, so if there's not a game coming out in a month anyway, I'd save the money. But to buy essentially 2 games in 1 month, no, that's out of the question.
Yeah.
Plus I've got a boss. Other people call it a partner, which I would have to, convince that this £100 purchase is definitely necessary.
Right.
And the answer would be no. We could take the daughter somewhere, or we can go other places. It is a lot of money to drop at once. So I understand what Nintendo's doing with it. I just don't think it's the right way of going about things, and especially being as they're limited. I mean, that was such a shock to me that you can only buy them. I think when is it until the end of June? Is it
July?
Right.
Yeah, it's just still not great, is it? Really, to be honest. So,
I mean, it's not ideal, but I've seen some pretty extreme reactions, right?
Oh yeah, you don't need to be extreme about it. You just buy it or you don't. That's it.
Right. Speaking of game vouchers, Dragon Quest Builders 2 is now available for pre-purchase and is Nintendo Game Voucher compatible. Also here in the North American region, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Super Mario Maker 2, both available for pre-purchase as well. I would expect we'll see something for Fire Emblem very soon. So there are some ways for you to use those game vouchers. And let's be honest, E3 is going to happen next week or in 2 weeks, and we're going to see some pre-purchase things go up, right? I fully believe there will be, you can purchase this right now. It'll launch on Blink. So be ready for those.
I'm going to go off script a little bit and say, speaking of sticker shock, there's that new 3DS game that hit last week.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that we were I thought that we might talk about this. There's a $100 3DS game in the 3DS shop right now.
I didn't look into the details on it. I don't. Yeah. It's not. If this is what I think it is, it's not designed for normal people to just buy. It's meant for optometrists to buy, and then use it as part of their diagnostic tool set. And that's why it's $100. It's just a weird way to do it.
That's an extremely weird way to do it. And I don't know any optometrist in the entire United States who uses a 3DS to check someone's eyes.
I don't know.
I don't know. I just know that the developers are getting roasted for it online. And because it was just put up there with no, I don't know. Maybe it was just, but the best comment I saw on it was that maybe they meant type in $9.99 and hit an extra 9? I don't know. Maybe it is $100. It's just weird. What is the name of that game?
PDI check.
PDI check. What is a PDI?
I don't know. Yeah, it was still put in the chat. PDI check is an interactive multiple choice game utilizing the unique color three-dimensional screen of on the Nintendo 3DS system to quickly and accurately measure near vision, acuity, color vision, and then that's the end of what he's posted.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think this is designed for normal people to just buy. This is kind of meant as something else. Not the right way to distribute that type of software.
A little bit of the old Google research while you were mentioning that from Ebicel. Eye doctors do measure something called PD, which is pupillary distance, which is the distance between the centers of your pupils. Why you would need a 3DS to do that? Who knows? Anyway, don't buy it. It's $99, and they won't refund your money. I'm convinced it's a scam. It's totally to see who will buy it, and then they can laugh all the way because it's terrible. Like, I looked at the screenshots of it, and it is ridiculously bad looking. But if it's a diagnostic tool, it doesn't have to be great looking, right?
But will a diagnostic tool work on a 240p screen?
That's a great question.
The other thing that would concern me about it is you were on about the 3D screen. What if you're playing on a 2DS?
I don't know.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Let's hit our last bit of news here. Nintendo Switch is going to head across the U.S. for an interactive road trip for kids and families this summer. This is not coming to you or anybody over there in the UK, Gary, but games that are going to be playable on this are going to be Mario Maker 2, Super Smash Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Overcooked 2, Super Mario Party, and Splatoon 2. And you can find a list of this road trip, the places that's going to stop on Nintendo's website. And you know what amazes me about this list is that someone from Nintendo finally remembered that there's a middle part of this country.
Yeah.
People don't just live in Sacramento, Washington, Miami, and New York.
Because I used to say if the state doesn't have water near it, then they forget it exists.
Yeah. They're going to Kentucky. They're going to Iowa. They're going to Georgia.
They're going to go to Megadance Land. They're going to Minnesota State Fair.
Yep, that's right. And so go on out there and check it out. Like some of these dates.
A lot of state fairs.
Yeah, it's a lot of state fairs.
California,
some of these
Iowa,
dates,
Kentucky,
they're there for
New
4
York,
days.
New Mexico.
The press release on this also says that they're going to have games, memorable photo opportunities, and activities for the whole family. So moms and dads, this sounds like a great thing to take the kids out to, even if it's games you already have. Go out and, check out what Nintendo has to offer. Again, go to the website, or you can just Google Nintendo Switch Road Trip, and you'll find a list of the dates and where they're going to be. It begins, in June and goes all the way through October 6th.
Yeah, it ends in,
Georgia
National Fair, October 3rd through 6th.
Yep. Lots of things in Georgia, though, to be honest. Right? That's our news. Let's discuss something else from this week, shall we? So Super Mario Maker 2 is almost here. We are really just under 30 days away from the release of it. And on the heels of a really, really excellent Nintendo Direct, hype has been huge until this week. In what can only, I think, in my opinion, be labeled as a series of missteps, Nintendo has revealed lots of disappointing missing features from Super Mario Maker. And I want to run down a few of these for you. The biggest one, and I think the one that's gotten the most flack online, is that the mode that allows you to play courses online against each other in either competitive or co-op play will not allow you to play with friends. It will only allow you to play with random people. And as soon as this broke, y'all, I would have hated to be in Nintendo's PR that day. I just like, we could sit here tonight and we can talk about all of the reasons that we know this is happening, or that we get it, or we know that, we understand Nintendo's online strategy. I can't for the life of me defend this anyway. There's nothing redeemably good to say about the situation. Like, why? Their excuse, and I'm taking this straight from the statement that Nintendo released, is that the game, as the game is now. Now, I like the way they say this. As the game is now, you cannot create friend lobbies online. You can only play online with randoms. You can still get friends together and play with local play, unless, they're my friend who lives in London and England over there. And Gary's not going to buy a plane ticket and come sit in my living room so we can play Mario Maker together. He can play my courses. They do mention that. But the big issue revolves around that they believe it will screw up online leaderboards.
Well, it's such
please, Gary, make some sense of this if you can.
There's no sense in it. No. It's just so stupid. I mean, all they needed to do was put an option. You're playing with friends. You won't get ranked or points for this. Do you want to continue? Yes. No. That's it. That's the end of it. And
bingo.
To me, it's just a really bad PR excuse. Which we get it. PR can be touchy. They have to basically word and try and fix things that the developers and stuff missed out of games. It can be a touchy, tough job. We all know that. And it's a shame for Nintendo Minute as well, because they put a new video out just as this broke, and everyone took to that to voice their opinions. But it is baffling. It is something that's so silly and kind of idiotic to miss out. They got people so hyped when they announced online.
Yeah.
And they failed to mention that you couldn't play it with your friends until later.
I'm sure that was not an accident that they didn't mention that right away.
They wanted to hold on to that as long as possible. Very carefully left out. Wouldn't you agree?
It's a bad thing to do, because now they've lit the fire, they've got everything ready, and then they've just put themselves on it to roast.
I tweeted about this on the day that it happened, and this was what I said, that this is not the Nintendo that we have come to know and love during the Switch era of the last 2 years. This is Wii and Wii U era Nintendo crap. Like, really.
I disagree. I think this is worse. I can't remember my exact tweet, but I put something like, Nintendo during the N64 days, come and play with your friends. We let you play 4-player. More friends than anyone else let you play. Come on, sit down and play with your friends. And then Nintendo during the Wii U era, we won't let you have achievements online because we want you to concentrate on fun and we don't want to ruin the game. And now it's like, you don't need friends. It's all about the achievements. Come and get a bigger global score, guys. Ditch your friends at the door.
It's like I don't know. Situations like this are very telling when you go back and you read those old when you read those old posts or articles about how when they went to talk to Nintendo about why can't you make it like PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, and people at Nintendo went, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And so let me break down some of this other news that came out. And this all, by the way, started with a video from our good friends over at Game Explain. Game Explain were the ones who kind of broke this and started to get into all of the things that were missing. in an analysis video. And here's another thing that they mentioned. And to me, for me personally, this is the one that is the big one for me. Like I hate it for people that wanted to play online with their friends. Again, that's not something I get to do a lot, but this one for me is pretty terrible. And that is they have removed support for amiibo functionality from the game. So no more mystery mushrooms, no more costumes, no more themed levels based around those costumes. Y'all, that was one of my favorite things about Mario Maker in the beginning was, not only the levels
costumes is what kept me playing for a while.
Yeah, like not only the levels that people would create, but the levels that Nintendo themselves would release in promotion with other like entities. I mean, they had
BMW?
yeah, I mean, just crazy stuff that didn't really make a lot of sense, but it was cool because you knew Nintendo designed the level, so it was at least going to be halfway decent, right?
Yeah. Like a dragon says, "R.I.P. 8-bit Joker."
Yep. Well, like I'm looking across my office here at 3 shelves worth of amiibo, right? There are like 20 or so per shelf, or 16 to 20 per shelf, and I've got them divided into halves. So like that's like 40 amiibo per shelf, and there's 3 of them. What am I going to do with all these? Like I was holding out hope that we would see some kind of interactivity with Mario Maker, but I also believe that this is like, if it's not the final nail in the coffin, this has got to be one of them for Amiibo. Like it's, hey guys, we're kind of done here.
Yeah, now there's something that I'm curious about with this no Amiibo support is we know that the Amiibo's not on there. I mean, we should have guessed this sooner when the box art got put out months back that there was no Amiibo logo on the front.
Well, yeah.
But is it definite that the mystery mushroom isn't in there? Is that a definite? Because you got to think that a lot of these outlets and stuff like Game Explain are still under embargo, so there could very well be an alternative to the costume still. And they don't know about it.
They might have added something that hasn't been shown to Game Explain yet.
It says here in this, I'm reading an article, that says in the original Super Mario Maker, tapping an amiibo would unlock special costumes in the form of mystery mushrooms. However, for some reason, this feature has been removed from Mario Maker 2, which was confirmed by Game Explain after speaking with a Nintendo representative.
Yeah. See, to me, it seems like there's something missing from this story. And the problem is with, as we all know, with Nintendo Media, is one outlet does a story and then others copy that story, and then others will copy that story that's been copied and copy that story that's been copied. And there's details that get missed out and lost along the way. And if Game Explain got their information from a rep who also will abide to embargo rules, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is completely missing.
Yeah,
I'm not holding out any sort of hope for it because Nintendo does make these mistakes. Let's be completely honest. I think that it is a shock to us all, and we all feel like something's missing. But I could kind of understand it as well because it did take away from it being a Mario game a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. But I'm fairly sure there'll be something to replace those costumes in some sort of way.
I hope so, because honestly, one of my favorite features from the original Mario Maker was seeing what people could do. Like, I'm going to put a Mega Man mushroom in this level, and we're going to make it like a Mega Man level, or we're going to make it like I was looking forward to like Castlevania, like Simon Belmont mushroom.
I was hoping for like amiibo costumes to be in other things other than just 8-bit normal Mario, to see what it would
that would have made
what Mega Man
really
would look like in the Mario 3D World environment.
And there's still that panel that people are missing next to the Super Mario 3D World, which everyone's expecting to be Super Mario Bros. 2. What if that's some sort of costume party?
Yeah,
Could be.
totally
Could very well be.
viable because it only works in that one, style.
Amiibo Festival.
Please God, no. Continuing the disappointment train, it was also confirmed this week that you cannot transfer courses from the Wii U or 3DS to Super Mario Maker 2. So all the time that you've spent, like if you've got a course you're really, really proud of, you're going to have to build it again, bub. But
Kind of not surprised.
yeah, I mean, there's so much more going on, like
And
slopes and different things. It's a entirely
the account
different
systems
backend
just aren't
system.
compatible.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
also,
to make it compatible, you'd probably do a thing like Pokemon, where they're like, right, you need Pokemon Bank and you need Pokemon Home. You need 2 subscriptions running at the same time to transfer the stuff. Yeah, just drop the levels, let people redesign
you
them.
need Builder Mario's construction site.
And mobile app
Yep, you need Mario Home Depot
for voice chat.
Oh God, please God, no. The last disappointing bit of news is that the stylus pen that everyone else in the world is getting will not be coming to North America because Nintendo of America hates us.
Yeah, like I heard that, I ordered my own pen.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't like
you're gonna
using
need
these
one
anyway.
to play this game.
I don't like using these anyway, but I think it's still better than trying to use my fat finger on the screen.
let's be completely honest here. That Mario Maker stylus isn't going to be good quality anyway. And it's probably something that you won't use. You'll find that using just a normal touch will probably be better. So I don't think you're missing much. I think I understand frustration and annoyance, but
I guess like
out.
the equal opportunity to get those cool things, that maybe we won't use, but we'll keep. If you collect Nintendo things, it would be nice to have the opportunity to have them.
Don't know what happened to it, but I remember with, I think it was Phantom Hourglass. We got through Club Nintendo. We got a plastic stylus for DS that had a feather quill on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I kept that in the box, cool. And I told my kid, "You do not use this." I think he eventually used it, and that's why it's lost.
There you go. Kids messing up everything since the dawn of time.
Right.
Speaking of messing up everything, that's the end of our Let's Discuss. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Jesse, this week you have been a bad Nintendo dad, and you've not played any video games.
Yeah, unless you want to hear more about Picross, which I doubt.
Well, I mean.
And even then, I don't have much to say.
Right,
yeah,
right.
So I'll just yield.
Okay. All right, Gary, what have you been playing?
So I finally finished the game of university. I've handed in my last assignment. I don't feel good about it, but I've done it, and so I've had some time to game. So what better place to be than Skyrim? A game that us Nintendo fans are basically, it's like us wearing 1999's fashion out on the streets right now. We're behind the times, but hey, you can still enjoy it if you want to. Skyrim, I'm so invested in Skyrim right now. I've tried to play it a couple of times here and there on Xbox and various other places. Never really got hooked on it, but it's finally clicked. I think I was missing something before. It's finally clicked, and I'm really enjoying it. Also, I really enjoy the really bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions in that game. Like, I don't know if either of you two play Skyrim at all.
I have.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll go to some place and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm an adventurer, I took it out to the knee," and you're like, "Wow, nobody speaks like that. Nobody speaks like that. Only people who can't do Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions speak like that." And it's amazing. I love the voice actors so much because some of them are really good, and then you'll come across some of the voice actors who are so awful. And it's just great, There's so much dialogue, and there's so much stuff to the world that is completely unnecessary, like the hideous amounts of books everywhere that you can read. You can actually read the books. that if you want to get lost in the world, then you can get so deep into the lore of it that it's
See, I
insane.
wouldn't call it lost. I would call it overwhelmed. If you want to be overwhelmed by a video game world, you can play Skyrim.
So you're right. I said about Pokemon games being quite linear. I think that might have been pre-show actually. You'll walk for a couple of minutes, and somebody would like, here, have an item. Then you walk a couple of, here, have another item. Here, have an item. And then somebody would be like, oh no, you can't walk this way, go that way. Here, have an item. That's how Pokemon works. In Skyrim, it's bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression, and then a book. And rinse and repeat, and it goes on forever.
Oh, and don't forget too that if you can't walk in that direction just yet, they'll remind you of that by like throwing a Yeti in your way.
Yeah.
Who will pick you up and slam you into the ground repeatedly until you die.
And the funny thing is Skyrim is a really good game. Like, it is a really good game, but I think what makes it more fun is like the glitches that never got cleaned up, or various things like that. Like, you'll be walking and all of a sudden there'll be like a reindeer fall out the sky. And you're like, wow, what is going on here?
With that game, the more bugs they try to clean up, the more bugs they add.
Yeah.
I saw one time where this guy was fighting two troll giants or something like that, and one of them and he flew into space. Like, he was looking down and the map was just getting smaller. Smaller.
So far, I've had a breakdancing dragon skeleton as well.
Oh yeah, I got that one too.
Yeah, it's just you kill the dragon, and then all of a sudden his body's like, yes, it's time to party. I love it.
One time I was coming out of like the first big city that you're in, like when you kill your first dragon, and like its dead carcass just dropped out of the sky.
Yeah,
like right there at the entrance, like just bones everywhere. Like, where did that come from?
And it's really funny because there is a permadeath for some of the town folk on there as well. So you can lose merchants, and then you will never be able to buy anything from that merchant ever again because he's dead. And you hear stories of like people who played. Like, you'll talk to your friends who've all played it before, like years ago on Xbox, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I used to take the dragons into the towns. Like, if I saw a dragon, I would run to the nearest city, and the villagers would help me kill it there." And then they realise that, like, wow, half the villagers are dead now, so I can no longer buy items or do anything in this village. It's completely useless now. So
this quest in there he wanted.
Yeah, that's the thing as well, because some of those glitch out. But yeah, I mean, the world of Skyrim is something that was, as I said, late to us Nintendo fans. I really think it's one that people shouldn't miss out on. If you're a fan of action adventure RPGs, then it can take a little time to get into. I mean, it was a good 10 hours before I even knew partly what I was doing. But the game is massive. It's so big, and there's so much to do in it. And you can see where Breath of the Wild runs parallels. Where Breath of the Wild does things better, and where Breath of the Wild does things worse. So it's just fantastic. I think everybody should play it at some point.
Excellent. And also don't forget to mention that you can shoot arrows up deer's butts.
Yes, yeah.
Which you continue to post on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm becoming somewhat of a hero at doing that now.
Yeah, you've hit like 2 or 3 at this point.
Yeah. It's actually aimed as well. It's not accidental.
Wow.
And this is what happens when you have been grinding away at university for an entire year.
Yeah,
right?
You just all of a sudden arrows, bums, they just connect.
Yep. Yep. Well, that leads me into what I've been playing this week with the animal connection, not arrows and bums. I'm finally able to talk about this game.
I heard a bullseye, but that's new.
Yeah. Wow.
This was more elk's eye.
I've been playing Little Friends, Dogs and Cats on the Switch, which is a third-party spiritual successor to Nintendogs on the DS and the 3DS. And for the most part, yeah, I've been pretty pleased with it. I've actually really the bulk of it has been played by my daughter. I handed it off to her and let her run with it. And in an afternoon, she progressed way further than I had, just because it is a pet simulation, a pet care simulation game with some obvious arcadey type elements as well. Uh, for those of you who don't know anything about the game, when you start the game, you get your choice of 3 or 4 dogs, different breeds. There's like a Shiba and a Chihuahua and a Golden Retriever and some Labradors or something like that. If you don't like those, you can shuffle the dogs and you'll get a new selection. You pick a puppy or pick a dog, you name it, and then you begin to do things with it. Like you learn how to pet the dog, you learn how to throw a ball and have the dog go get it. One of the things I love about it is that it tells you the dog's personality. It's like, this dog is sweet and sassy. And I was like, well, that just sounds like, Southern to me. So we're going to pick the Shiba that's sweet and sassy.
You have any just jerks?
Yeah, there was one that was like, I don't remember how it phrased it, but I was like, yeah, that dog's a jerk. We're not getting that dog. No, he's going to be here. He's going to be here forever.
Dogs when they're jerks are the best. They really are. I mean, anyone who's seen Marley and me, they know what I mean. They know what I mean.
My dog's a jerk. My real life dog is a jerk.
So you progress in game, and as you do things with your dog, your friendship level goes up. And when you get to certain levels, you unlock new things like the ability to go buy costumes, the ability to go out on a walk, the ability to go into competitions. There's a frisbee throwing, game that you can do where you throw the frisbee and try to get the dog to catch it. And at level 15, you unlock cats, and then you can adopt a cat. But you have to be friendship level 15 first, which is kind of weird. But for it to be called dogs and cats and then make you grind up to level 15, which I say grind. It's not like, keep in mind, it's not like a JRPG grind, because like my daughter was at level 10 in an afternoon, right? Because she loved the game. She played it. There's a couple of things about it that I think I do want to make people aware of and be wary of. Is you can play it in handheld and in docked mode. In handheld mode, it's great. In docked mode, I don't like it. And the reason is that in docked mode or in handheld mode, everything's touch controlled. So when you pet your dog, you're actually running your finger along the screen. When you're when you want to throw the frisbee, you're flicking the frisbee, you're throwing the ball. And there's actually more control to it when you're on the touch screen. Because like if you'll go and watch our video review of it, like the video Let's Play, my daughter and I actually did that together. And she mentions, when I was playing it in handheld, I could throw the ball higher than I can here. So what's the difference? Well, when you're playing it in docked mode, you are relegated to Joy-Con motion controls.
Ew.
And I would love to sit here and tell you that they work and that they're great, but work is just about as good as it gets. Like, they work enough to make you frustrated. And like the first time I played it, they were okay, but we tried to do it during the video to have her do the Joy-Con and have it one in each hand, and it just was not working for her, right? And that's how they recommend you to play it, one Joy-Con in each hand. And when you're petting the dog on screen, you'll see like 2 hands, and you can move them around with the Joy-Con and pet the dog. And little sparkles will come out if you're doing it right, and you get some like, it's a good use of HD rumble. Like if you're doing something right, your controller will vibrate, it'll rumble, and it'll continue, and it'll get faster and faster until the sparkles come out, and then like the dog's rating will go up or whatever. And there's only so many levels you can gain in a day. Like so they pace you, right? So you're not you're not going to level up your dog to 50 in one day.
Right.
But it's a nice diversion. It's not a bad looking game. The dogs are animated really well. They're cute, which I think is a necessary component for this type of game. it's the type of game that I wish that I had had when I was a kid, because I grew up very badly allergic to pet hair, and I still am in a lot of ways. So like we can have outside dogs, but I've never been able to live in a place where there's an indoor cat or an indoor dog or anything like that. It's the type of game that I wish that I'd had when I was a kid, when I was being told you can't have a cat, you can't have a dog, because you're gonna have an allergic reaction. So it feels, you can develop I think a kid could develop a connection with this virtual pet, right? Because you don't just play with them, you feed them, you water them, there's 4 different qualities down in the bottom left-hand corner, and you're trying to raise those up to green, right?
You're going to have the same fate as my first virtual pet?
I hope not. Listen, if there's a dead dog on a little pet, little friends, my daughter will cry.
I'm glad you knew where I was going with that.
Yeah. I don't think they can die.
I've got a question about it. Now, I got hands-on with this at EGX Res, and now I'm going to say I thought the dogs were really cute. I thought it was a well-polished game and all that sort of stuff. But I had a bit of trouble with the menus. Is that something that's that's actually hard to navigate?
Hey, that's a really good question. There's a ton of menus in this game.
Yeah.
And so it's easy. I won't say it's easy, but it's not hard to get lost in the menus, right? Like you go into care, and then the care is broken down into play and feed and water and pet. And what they don't tell you is that, going to the pet option will also allow you to press a button and get out the brush and brush the dog. And the tutorial will tell you those things. But again, if you're a 5-year-old kid, you're not reading the tutorial, right? They just want it to be easy to play with the doggy. And so that can be a sticking point, and I think that's where we as parents, kind of have to stick with our kids and when they're playing and say, okay, well, you got to do this, or, move over there and press this button. And but my daughter was able to figure it out pretty well. Of course, she's about to be 11, so there's, I keep seeing games, and I don't know if Nintendo prints this on their boxes or not, but I've seen it on some PlayStation games lately. Basic reading ability is required to enjoy this game. And I think that's here too. I mean, there's a lot of visual stuff, but you do need to be able to read the tutorials and see what you need to do. Now, is your dog going to die, or is it going to spiral off into the abyss if you don't do everything right? No. But your connection with your dog and your rating is directly related to the amount of money you earn for doing things with your dog, which will then allow you to buy new things, like buy new toys, buy outfits, because you can dress the dog up, because why not, right?
Sure.
And at this point, we have spent tons more time talking about a pet care game than we have a lot of games that we talk about here. But let me wrap it up by saying this. I do think it's a great game for kids. I just necessarily did not hold my attention as an adult. Does that make sense? It's kind of like Amiibo Festival. And that may be harsh to say that it's like Amiibo Festival. Let me explain. My kids loved Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, and they would beg to play it. And we would go, okay, right, we'll play it. And then we'd get into it, and they would be having a good time. And my wife was sitting there, and I'm like, please tap the Amiibo. Oh, my God, please go. That Little Friends is not like that. Like, I never had an experience where I'm like, oh my God, dog, please just do whatever. No, I didn't do that. But to me, it was one of those things like, my kids are getting more enjoyment out of this game than I am, which is fine. It's totally fine, because not everything has to be for me.
Should be expected for a game like this.
Yeah. So this is available digitally right now. It's also available in a retail package as well, if you want to go the physical route. And just, again, full disclosure, we got a review copy of this, so we're thankful for that, and enjoyed our time with it. Go check out our video over on YouTube if you're looking for specifics. There's about 15 minutes of footage there where we show off different modes. We show off the dog walk mode and the frisbee and all kinds of other stuff as well over there. Another game that I've been playing today is Devolver Digital's newly released Gato Roboto, which is, the only way I know to describe this is Metroid if a cat was in the suit and not Samus.
Yeah.
Therefore, it is awesome. You need to play this game. It's $6.50 right now on the eShop, I believe. That was the pre-purchase price. And maybe it's still on sale in the Devolver sale. If not, it's $7.99. It's totally worth your time. It is one of the tightest platforming experiences that I have experienced lately, period. The controls are so spot on. And there's a ton of humor. Basically, the story of the game is that an astronaut or somebody's flying around out in space. He goes to investigate a distress signal, crash lands on the planet. He's stuck in his ship. He can't move. And so the cat is left to find a way out. And the cat ends up finding a robot sentry suit that you go around killing things with. And it's amazing. There's a little bit of Blaster Master mix in here, like because the cat can get out of the suit and go through vents and little ducts and different things. But the cat is absolutely one hit dead. But then there's the Metroid part of it in that the suit can be upgraded, and there's even other vehicles you can find as well. Like I've got the robot suit, and recently I finished an area where you can find a submarine for the cat to ride around in and shoot torpedoes, which just gives me joy. There's all kinds of little unlockables. There's unlockable cartridges you can find that will change the game is completely black and white too, by the way, which is really cool. I like that aesthetic. Kind of reminds me of Downwell that I've been playing a lot lately. But you can, with these cartridges, you can change the theme, like the palette.
With Downwell, it's hard to tell what's what sometimes because it's basically three colors.
Yeah, and I just unlocked a palette on Downwell that's all it's the accent color is gray instead of red. Oh my gosh! I tried playing it, and this is one of my quickest deaths so far. But the palette I just unlocked before I quit playing today in Gato Roboto was called the Urine palette.
Ew.
And it's a black background and all the white turns bright yellow.
Ew.
Yeah. So there's a little twisted sense of humor to this game, and it's
I'll give this
interesting.
game a try.
Yeah, I really highly recommend this. Like a couple weeks ago, I really hyped Castlevania Anniversary Collection, and somebody commented on Twitter about how they went and bought it after that. I give this the exact same type of recommendation. It is fantastic. I love Devolver. I can't wait to see what they're bringing to E3 this year. I didn't realize how many other games I had and wanted until I went and looked at the sale today. They're just a very solid publishing house, and I'm super thankful for this game. It's really cool.
Is this the first year they're doing their own E3 show, or have they done it in the past?
No, they did one last year. They did a small one last year.
Okay.
But I think this one's going to be. I mean, they are one of the major indie publishers for Switch.
Because last year I don't think I've ever heard of them.
They take a lot of risks on games that other people might not, and I really appreciate that. Like I think it's pretty cool.
They had a fairly big showing at EGX Res this year. They had one of the biggest rooms, and they had mascots walking around and all sorts of stuff. So
did they show
really
off My Friend Pedro there?
Yep, I played it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. And there's tons that's on sale right now, like Ape Out, Broforce, Enter the Gungeon is on sale again.
Gris.
If you missed it,
is a good game.
Gris is on sale. Sort of Ditto is on sale, which you've heard us talk about some on here. Guys, they're just go look. It's in your news feed on the Switch, the Devolver sale. You can go and you can see all the titles there that are on sale and take you straight to them on the eShop. Well, that's what we've been playing. Let's hit our community spotlight for a rare voicemail. All right, this evening we have a voicemail from none other than one of our monthly Mayhem organizers, Drew DeFusco. And so, Jesse, why don't you play that for us?
Hey guys, it's Drew. Calling in because, there's been a lot of chat lately on Discord about the game Moonlighter. I actually recently picked it up about 3 weeks ago, and I've been playing it here and there, and I actually, fell off it not too far into the game, maybe 3-5 hours tops. And it got me thinking, right? Moonlighter is about $20-$25 game, which is a lot of money if I only really put 3 to 5 hours into it and then stop playing it. So what if they did a pay structure like this, where you download the game, maybe it's $3, maybe $5, and then, as you progress, you pay more, right? So for Moonlighter, for example, after you maybe complete the first dungeon, it says, hey, how do you like the game? If you want to keep playing, it's going to cost you $5 more, or, concept of insert more coins, right? And then, you keep playing, you like it, you pay the $5, you get to the second dungeon. Hey, you beat the second dungeon, do you want to keep playing? $5 more. Or you know what? It's not really for me. I think I'm going to quit here. That way you're only $3-5 in the hole rather than $20 or $25 and only really a few hours played. Just a thought that I had. I wanted to see what you guys thought, or your opinion on it. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks.
Wow.
3 words.
Yeah.
Super Mario Run.
Yeah. Mobile gaming.
It's the concept is good on paper, but
Yeah.
just in general, people don't like it. It's because in general people are stupid and they really don't think ahead. They'd rather have something, bite-sized and microtransaction-y versus something where they get, start for free and pay $10 to get the rest of the game. It kind of sounds kind of like chapter based. I think early chapter games, I think you actually had to buy each chapter separately, and then they started to just say, buy the first one for $25, and you'll get the rest of it when we're done with it, but we're still developing it. So it's kind of evolved away from that model in multiple paths.
As somebody who is like Drew and did buy Moonlighter and did fall off of it about 2 to 4 hours into it, I love this idea. I would have, but I think that the way that you solve this practically for devs who bet on getting that $20 purchase and then would only get a $5 purchase, right? The way that they solve this is demos.
Yeah.
Pre-release demos of games that allow you to decide, do I like this game? And, I know this is not Xbox Dads, but I've got to give it to this, that one of the reasons that the Xbox 360 was such a wonderful system to me back in the day was that almost all games on Xbox Live Arcade, the indie stuff, almost all of them offered you a chance to try a demo. Right?
Yeah, I think
so you were able, so you were able to try a game, and there's many games that I picked up, not really intending to. I played the demo and I was like, "Hey, this is really good. I'm gonna buy this." But then there was also times that it saved me money because there were games that I thought I would like, and I'd play them and I go, "Okay, that's not for me." We're starting to see demos pick up more on the Switch, but not at the rate that I'd like them to be.
And if developers do demos, have the save state work into the main game, because that's cut me off more than once, where I liked the demo and I wanted to play more, but I had to start over when I bought the game. I'm like, well, I don't want to do this again. I want to get to the new stuff. So having that migrate over helps.
For me, I think that it's a nice idea again on paper, but the truth is that we've seen this. We saw the episodic, as you said, push around the Wii era, towards the tail end of that.
Like a lot of Telltale games.
Yeah, and the trouble with that as well is sometimes the devs can decide to change the game between chapters as well, which happened with Sonic 4, Part 1 and 2. They were almost, they had differences between the two in terms of control and things.
But Bendy and the Ink Machine, literally was a different game at the end versus how it started.
Yeah.
If you played it episodically versus waiting till the end to get them all.
So it's it's a nice idea, but the truth is if the whole game industry was like that, then I probably wouldn't play more than 5 hours of each game. Especially stuff like, as I mentioned earlier, Skyrim, Breath of the Wild. Like, how much would those end up costing in the end? So I think that in gaming you've already got a balance. There's games that you'll spend $20 on and play for 100 hours, and there's games that you'll spend $50 on and play for 5. It's a win and loss situation that's already balanced out. So I think it is a nice concept, but in practicality, I don't think it'd work. And it's one of the reasons why I don't like mobile gaming. I just don't like that sort of structure of like constantly having to put money in. It's an easy addiction to get into, and it's a hard one to get out. So you could end up paying.
Some of the mobile apps that I do still use, have more and more have gotten into the, you can play for 5 minutes, but if you want to play for 5 more, here, watch this forced video. I'm like, okay, no, I really don't want to. If you want that dime so much, find another way to do it. But very rare. Most of the time, if they start throwing that out in the first 5 minutes of play, I'm just uninstalling it. I don't want to deal with that.
So I understand the logic and the reasoning behind it, because I've been there as well. I bought games and I hated them, and there's no refunding and there's nothing like that. So yeah, I think it'd make gaming less enjoyable for me if that was the case. Just wouldn't want to keep putting the money down to get further. Yeah.
Some games, again, similar model, but like the puzzle games that I do will have DLC. So if I want to keep playing more puzzles, then there is a mechanism to buy more puzzles to keep playing. But that model doesn't work for all games.
Okay, I was trying to think of an example. That's why I was sort of umming and ahhing then. But say Wind Waker, when the original version, not the remaster, when you got to that point with the Triforce quest, I would have probably not put any more money in, and that would have been the end of the game. So I'm glad that I owned the game, so I could just do that section and force myself through it. But I think if that was
paywalled, pay money to not go do the Triforce quest.
Oh no, I wouldn't pay for that either, to be honest. But if that was the point where it was like, oh, you need to spend another $5 to carry on, I'd have probably gone, no, because this could happen again in the game. I'm not interested now. So any sort of lull in the game or any sort of unenjoyable part would probably put you off if it's paywalled around there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird position to be in, right? I mean, like Jesse said, there's obviously games that we've paid for episodically that we have enjoyed and would recommend. And then on the other hand, there's games that are meant to be enjoyed as a whole, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of devs would say that their games are meant to be enjoyed as a whole, and they would not be willing to break them up like that, even though that is a really good idea. It benefits the consumer more than it benefits the retailer, and that's probably why it will never happen, because it's all, yes, the consumer's always right, but the retailer and the developer are the one who gets to set the prices in the way that it happens. Again, like I said earlier, you've got a game that you expect to be making $20 a pop on, and now all of a sudden it's only turning $5 back in, right? Because people are only playing it for 4 or 5 hours. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that to the developer, to the publisher, it's not their responsibility to make sure you finish the game. It's their responsibility to sell you the software.
Right. Yeah. They don't care if you only play it for 10 minutes and stop. They got their money.
Right.
Of course, nowadays with like the Activision, the EAs, you know, they're trying to nickel and dime you, and they want you to keep on playing, so you keep on paying. And
Yeah.
those are the games I don't like to deal with.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, guys, that has been episode 232 of Nintendo Dads. We want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight and always supporting us over those of you who are over on YouTube in the chat tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us as we record the show live. We want to just say thanks for all the support that you give us, especially to all of our Patreon people and our Patreon producers as well. Those guys are Chris Mears, John Blanco, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off. We want to thank you for supporting us at that level. And any of you who donate to us through patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, thank you so much for being a or a patron of the show and believing in this mission and helping us do all the Nintendo Dads related things we do. You can download this show on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Spotify now. And if you would this week, hit us with a review, a written review, a 5-star review would be fantastic. That helps people find the show and find out more about us so we can move on up those rankings and people can see us. You can follow us on social media at Nintendo Dads. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, wherever social media is, we're probably there. You can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com, or you can call in and leave a voicemail like Drew did tonight at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. If you want to buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise, you can head over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store, all lowercase. Get yourself a phone case, a shirt, some posters, some stickers. Hey, you can even get Jesse as Tingle on your bedspread. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know you want some of that. Big thanks to OC
if I bought that.
For the music used throughout the show. And thanks to Adam Leonard and Carter Johnson for all the sweet artwork they have done for us over the years. For me, for Gary, and for Jesse, this has been episode 232 of Nintendo Dads. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.